The year is 2024. An orange felon has seemingly snatched control of the Oval Office from the clutches of the deep state, and as a result,
you are gay.
A whole crumbling industry is left in shock and panic. A decisive victory has been seized in the bloody battlefield of a long-spanning culture war, where the corrupt old guards of the AAA gaming industry are vanquished, and where gamers rise up. Hi everyone, I'm Locust, lifelong gamer, fist of fury, and guy listing off his credentials. Before we get this video started, I would appreciate if you rang that bell notification, hit that like button, and since I'm a dom, hit that sub button. Last week we dedicated a whole video to the Dragon Age Veilguard and how Jason Schreier seems to be actively destroying any sort of credibility for the public perception of his quote-unquote journalistic integrity. So in case you missed it, Jason Schreier attempted to mock the cliched phrase "go woke, go broke," posted the unimpressive Steam player count for Dragon Age The Veilguard, AAA game. Very cool, Jason. Well, he deleted the post. But why would such a bold, fierce warrior, Jason Schreier, valiant white knight of journalistic integrity and industry sweetheart that thinks that we are all chuds, delete the post? Does he know something that we don't? Could he possibly have gotten less than satisfactory sales numbers from Bioware regarding Dragon Age The Veilguard?
Release the tapes! Release the tapes!
So, word on the digital streets, courtesy of the YouTube grapevine, specifically Endymion and Smash JT, who apparently have the gaming industry's equivalent of the NSA's surveillance, suggests that the sales of this game are not just suboptimal. Oh no, they're as underwhelming as a flat warm beer at a sober living home during an intervention. If we were to take Smash JT's whispers as the gospel, this game, which was in development longer than some marriages last, it's barely scraping together sales like it's trying to make a steakhouse profitable in a vegan neighborhood. They hope for a cool 5 million copies to call it a win, but what they got was a paltry 500,000. At this rate, if you wander past your local hospital, you might just see BioWare's dreams bleeding out on the sidewalk while the staff inside is still trying to figure out if it's covered under EA's insurance.
Kenny, can you hear me?
Yeah, shit, dude.
How are you feeling, son?
Yeah, shit, Kenny.
Great. Son, I have some bad news. We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live.
But fear not, turns out BioWare has a heart after all, albeit a broken one. BioWare, a faceless company, felt compelled to blog crumbs on Twitter. What a world, am I right, guys? Anyways, moving on. The sweet baby's mama used to be quite spicy. Yep, that's right, we're talking about Coom Bel-Air, who I'm now going to refer to as Coom Bel-Air. Well,
Why?
you're about to find out, Racer X! Well, long story short, these clips were uncovered by a master of TDS, otherwise known as Gothic Therapy on YouTube. I mean, I can go on and let you know what she said, but I'd rather you just hear it from the horse that is attracted to Antelope's mouth.
Bowser, I feel like he has to be on my list because he's Bowser.
Bondage daddy sexy.
Bondage daddy, but also like
Good
literal
father.
daddy.
Yeah, good father.
He's Bowser, and I've never failed to nominate him for any opportunity.
Yeah,
to
if
be
Bowser's
like,
in the game,
yeah,
he's gonna make the list.
One thing that should be pointed out here is that these consultation companies, such as the one Coom Bel-Air runs, are responsible for desexualizing mature content intended for a mature audience, but here she is, hypersexualizing characters from family-friendly franchises while casting the rest of you as far-right supremacists for wanting to enjoy content that is more age-appropriate. Rules for thee, but not for me. Bad news, gamers, but good news for Coom Bel-Air. Again, as uncovered by Gothic Therapy, Sweet Baby Inc. and the Powell Group, another consultancy agency, have teamed up to bring consultation together as they are pushing an agenda that is about as subtle as a sledgehammer to a hairy ballsack. You would think that all this You would think that all this bad press and revenue loss for the games that they're involved with would have the notion of working with Sweet Baby Inc. as appealing as having sexual intercourse with a human centipede of lepers, but apparently the Powell Group has got some real reach to it. SBI is adapting, and again, gamers, it's up to us to not let any of this slide. You have been conscripted. Gamers, rise up! I mean, let's be honest, it's not just Coom Bel-Air who's into sexy characters according to a study. Women actually prefer to play as sexy characters in video games. We'll leave the study in the description so you can check it out. But man, it seems as though that Coom Bel-Air's heart and mind are at war. Don't believe me? Look at what Sweet Baby Inc. is doing to Insomniac's Wolverine game, which we need to talk about.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Look at what they're doing to the signature looks of the BPD Firecrotch Jean Grey. Like, dog, there is no way that this femme fatale is responsible for the root of Scott and Logan's schism when the mutant population was at its lowest. Like my penis and balls shrunk 18 inches here. I used to be a mandingo. This photo works as a holistic gender reassignment surgery for me. Screenshots of Insomniac's Wolverine made me trans against my own will. Sorry guys, Wolverine is probably my favorite Marvel character, and to see Insomniac butcher their take on him is very disconcerting to me. Well, I don't know if this is good or bad news, but Insomniac's Wolverine's game director, Brian Horton, who has left amidst creative differences, he's now being replaced by both Marcus Smith and Mike Daly. From Ratchet & Clank's Rift Apart, a game that was pretty fun, but in my eyes, the story was kind of meh. Horton is now leaving to go to Crystal Dynamics / the Initiative to work on Perfect Dark Remake. Whatever it's worth, apparently Horton was also behind Spider-Man Miles Morales DLC. Now, some may speculate that the vast majority of production on Wolverine has been finished and all that's left is polish. However, creative decisions pertain to the overarching vision of the game. Polish implies polishing that which has already been done. However, longtime fans of Logan, such as myself, may be in for a little more disappointment. According to Endymion, who has supposedly been getting leaked data from all sorts of game developers as of late, Insomniac's Wolverine works as a setup for X-23 taking the lead, leaving our boy Wolvie in a state of old man Logan. I think some of these people making these contrived creative decisions need the docking treatment and drown in a shallow puddle while they think back on all their misdeeds. In Beetle Adventure Racing, of course. One has to think about the production setbacks Wolverine has faced over the past few years, from bad publicity to the footage of the game being leaked after Insomniac got hacked real bad. From what we're seeing so far, it seems as though that it may take more than adamantium claws to hack through these production issues. Perhaps they should just slash through the HR department. Well. What do we have here? Goodish news for Remedy. They've apparently recouped most of the cost for Alan Wake 2. Honestly, I don't understand how this is a point of pride for Remedy, but hey, what do I know? Anyways, for reference, the game was the fastest selling game for Remedy, selling 1.2 million copies as of March 2024. The recoup of this money is likely from partnerships such as Annapurna Pictures, which will provide financial assistance for 50% of the development for games such as Control 2. And let's not forget their deal with Tencent as well. Let's definitely not forget about that. It would be an absolute shame to forget about that. Wait, Racer X, does that mean that Tencent has its tentacles in motion pictures as well? Why did IGN leave that component out of its article? Guess we'll have to just wait and see. Here's something for the comment section to discuss. Do you believe that politics is downstream from culture? Well, according to Grum's inside sources, folks at Activision Blizzard were hit with a really cold spell. Some of them feeling too nauseous and anxious to roll up to work, not just after the election, but the day leading up to the election as well. Let me tell you, as someone who used to work at a comic book store in Los Angeles, I believe this. Back in 2016, there were some people, employees that I knew, that couldn't muster the strength to get out of bed. Grum says, crying, panicking, leaving work early. Trans people are talking about buying guns. People are passing out quote-unquote crisis line numbers. It is complete chaos. Source, longtime insider at Activision Blizzard, where Grums used to work, and status, rumor. I'll say this. First world problems, guys. Put on your big boy, girl, they them pants on and get back to work. The world needs more of that AAA slop that only you guys are qualified in delivering. Though, I do hear that the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 actually kind of slaps. No, the drama continues. Here's Casey Alexander, the writer behind Mass Effect Andromeda Nexus Uprising, who's apparently taken Trump's presidential victory like it's the end of the world. You can almost feel the room spinning with their existential dread as they post on Blue Sky about needing to knock themselves out with NyQuil just to cope. That is, if some of the chemical components that comprise NyQuil were daddy issues, rainbows, and melodrama, otherwise known as modern-day Bioware. This whole trying hard to restrain the vicious need to lash out line? Classic. It's as if the election results are not just a political event, but a personal attack on their very being, and they're struggling to keep from turning into the Incredible Hulk with blue hair and a soy fetish over the results. But let's get real. The world hasn't ended, and video games are still being made. However, Alexander's reaction might just be the epitome of the post-election emotional hangover we've all come to expect. I mean, sure, everyone's entitled to their feelings, but maybe channel that energy into something more productive. I don't know, like maybe the next sci-fi novel, or, you know, Mass Effect, or whatever the number they're at right now. Or if all else fails, a good old-fashioned bar fight might clear the air more effectively than lashing out at other people on social media. But who am I kidding? They've probably never been in a fight fight their whole life. Maybe not even a bar. I mean, look at them. I'm supposed to learn about heroism from these dweebs? Well, in the vein of that discussion, does anybody else find it kind of peculiar that as soon as the orange man reigns supreme in the presidential election of 2024 that Kotaku announces a bunch of layoffs? Let's go over some of these posts found on Blue Sky. Amanda Silberling writes, Kotaku doing layoffs this week is actually evil. Willa Rowe writes, hey, I was just laid off from Kotaku, don't know what is next for me. And by far the funniest one that is just beyond parody, Moises Taveras writes, LMAO, I slept in and woke up to the news that I've been laid off from Kotaku. I wonder if sleeping in has anything to do with him losing his job. I kind of feel as though that I might be more concerned about his job than he is. Call it a hunch. What should be noted is that a very prominent voice that likes to challenge people to fight.
Come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that?
On Twitter, for disagreeing with her political stances, announced her departure a day before the layoffs were announced, and was soon thereafter spotted in Montreal, a place where one of the companies she ran cover for and is seemingly running to for cover is located. Which company is that, you may ask? Think the opposite of a bitter adult non-incorporated. That's right, folks. It's highly speculated that she's going to Sweet Baby Inc., and given that none of this is confirmed in all speculation, I'll just leave it at that.
Hey Locust, you should look at this.
Wait, what? A new challenger has arrived, and it's Adi Shankar, the producer of Netflix shows such as the anime for Castlevania and Devil May Cry? More like Devil May Why. In a tweet, Adi writes, hey G/O Media, if you're planning to shut Kotaku down, I'll buy it from you. Have your CEO, Jim Spanfeller, or someone from Business Affairs DM me. We can discuss price. I don't understand why you would want to associate your name with a publication that's been disgraced ever since Eve took a bite from that apple. I don't know. Personally, I'd tell G/O Media to G/O themselves to G/Oblivion. Man, oh man. Sony's got this game, Concord, right? Maybe you heard of it. Flopped so hard that they're thinking about using it for a new formula to reinvent pancakes. They threw it out there thinking that they had hit the jackpot. But instead, they get hit with a bit of a reality check. Firewalk Studios, the studio behind Concord, has officially been shut down. Concord is officially a dead meme. All right, Racer X, I think it's time to pour one out for Firewalk Studios and the Professor. Sweet deal. I remember a tale of a Firewalk employee stating something along the lines of gamers soon not having any more games to play. Well, as @Pirate Nation points out, looks like she ain't got a job no more, motherfucker. Hiroki Totoki, the big shot at Sony, had to stand up and say, yeah, maybe we should have tested this thing before we let it loose on the world. But you know how it is, they were probably all high on their own supply thinking that they can conjure up the next Helldivers too. Turns out that not every game could be the next big hit. You know, some need a little more TLC before you show their malformed anus to the public. They're still gonna chase this live service dragon, but hey, they're also not giving up on their bread and butter, those sweet single-player stories where they actually know what the hell they're doing. No shade to you, Helldivers 2. I love you, baby. The UN's Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, has decided to set its sights on Japanese media, suggesting that it might just be stirring up a bit of violence against women and girls. Imagine that. Your favorite anime and video games being accused of fueling gender-based violence. Yamada Taro, our free speech hero, has spilled the beans that UN's chat with Japan bigwigs didn't even touch on manga, anime, or games directly, but somehow they've decided that these are the culprits. I get it. Nothing makes me want to commit acts of domestic abuse after a hateful viewing of toxic, violent anime such as My Neighbor Totoro, Golden Boy, and Kiki's Delivery Service.
I'm Kiki, ma'am, and Gigi here is my very best friend.
Gosh, I just want to commit hate crimes after just hearing those titles. It's like blaming your missing jizz sock on your cat because it looks hungry. There's no direct evidence, just speculation. Now, here's where it gets juicy. The UN isn't stopping at pointing fingers. They're suggesting Japan tightens up its legal measures to clamp down on the supposed violence-inciting media. They want to watch, control, and possibly censor what creators can produce, all in the name of gender equality. It's kind of funny, kind of feels as though that these days, Western colonization doesn't exactly exist in the realm of violent wars anymore, but more so in the imposed morals and values of countries that don't function the same way we do. It almost feels as though that this veiled hubris harbors a sentiment of cultural supremacy. United Nations, how about you leave Japan the fuck alone? Yamada Taro, of course, is up in arms, and rightfully so, because this isn't just about anime titties or game violence, it's about freedom of expression being shoved into a very tight, uncomfy box. The irony, while the UN is trying to save women from media violence, they might be killing off a whole culture's freedom to express. Welcome to the world where your entertainment could be next on the chopping block, all for the sake of protecting someone somewhere. Speaking of protection, Yoko Taro, the creator of the Nier series, has expressed his concerns about the actions of Western credit card payment processors who have been pressuring Japanese adult content platforms into compliance or forced changes. He highlighted that these payment companies are exerting power which goes beyond legal regulations, particularly affecting platforms like Manga Library Z, which had to shut down due to payment processing issues linked to adult content. Taro warns that this control over payment could lead to broader censorship and even endanger democratic principles, allowing one country to control content in another through financial mechanisms. Question for you guys: who's more oppressed these days, gamers or gooners? Let me know down in the comments. Well, for those of you that want to upgrade your gaming rig that voted for Trump, got some bad news for you. You sealed your fate. Here's the deal, kiddos. If Trump goes through with his grand plan to slap a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, your gaming life is about to get as expensive as a hot date with an entitled, glamorous Hollywood starlet. Laptops might jump nearly 50% in price, and your new video game console, try $1,000 for the PS5 Pro. Remember, it's not China paying the bill, it's you, the American consumer, picking up the tab for this economic love affair gone wrong. So if you've got any plans for a new rig or a console, you might want to pull the trigger before January 20th, 2025, or be ready to cough up some serious dough. As a friend in my group chat once stated, "Gamers put him in office, and this is how we're repaid?" What would this show be without shoving Ubisoft into a locker at least once? Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, amidst a few corporate faceplants, insists that Assassin's Creed Shadows team is not just twiddling their thumbs. They're apparently burning the midnight oil to rediscover the magical recipe of creativity and innovation that once made them the gaming world's darlings. Well, apparently accountability isn't exactly part of that magical recipe. Ubisoft drops the bomb. Star Wars Outlaws didn't exactly break the bank as they'd hoped, despite critics throwing virtual roses its way with those solid reviews. Seems as though the only thing outlawed in this game were customers' wallets. Assassin's Creed Shadows, a game head honcho, Mark Alexis Cote, has been caught in the crossfire between staying true to the art of gaming and bending over and opening them cheeks for the diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI crowd. He basically admitted that this whole DEI push might be tanking the game's potential, but like a true martyr of the modern age, he's doubling down on it. It's like watching someone crash a car into a wall made of adamantium, get severe brain damage, and then decide that the best course of action is to put the pedal to the metal and do it again. But this time around, they're drinking bleach and using rocket boosters. And oh, the critics. Kota isn't just standing by his decisions, he's throwing punches at anyone who dares to question the narrative. He's painting himself as some kind of victim in this cultural revolution where the real battle isn't about the quality of the game or the story being told, but who can shout diversity the loudest. Imagine having the audacity to call out Elon Musk for feeding hatred while simultaneously having a list of 3-word retorts ready to fire. It's a classic case of the lady doth protest too much, where Ubisoft seems more interested in virtue signaling than crafting a game that resonates with its fan base, all while the stock price plummets. Good lord. Here's the deal, folks. Miyazaki, the genius behind From Software, has been chatting about what he loves most: the sweet, sweet dance of death in his games. This isn't just about killing pixelated monsters anymore, it's about the art of combat, the rhythm of it, poetry you'd find in a good old-fashioned bar brawl. Miyazaki's been thinking about this since he threw Bloodborne at us, but it's Sekiro where he really hit his stride. He's talking about making combat even more fluid, more active, like he's planning to crank up the intensity to an 11. It's like saying, "Ooh, you thought Sekiro was tough. Wait till you see what's next, baby." Rather than reminiscing, Miyazaki's looking forward. He's hinting at this being a turning point, a moment where he's ready to refine, to sharpen what's already been a razor-edge combat system.
There's 2 things you need to know. I'm the king. And number 2 is, look out, man! Look at that, they're coming at you. You see that? It's called karate, man, and only 2 kinds of people know it. The Chinese and the king.
Fantastic, the studio behind the infamous scam of a game, the day before, is once again stirring controversy by launching a map design contest for their new game, Items. The contest, announced on their official Discord, invites fans to start crafting maps for the game using any medium they prefer, promising their winner their creation will be integrated into the game, and they'll also get a free copy of Items, and their name displayed on the map. However, there's a catch. Despite the substantial work involved, winners won't be receiving any sort of monetary compensation. You guys want to get scammed? Leave it in the comments. In some more interesting news that may show you where the future of the console market is headed, according to reports, Capcom games have sold better on PC than its console counterparts. The report shows that all consoles together amalgamated to 40% of the sales, whereas sales on the PC made up 54% of the sales. My question is, what about the other 6%? Speaking of Capcom, Shinji Mikami just dropped the most epic humble brag of all time when talking about the Resident Evil 4 remake. He's quoted in saying, "Another thing I thought was really well done was the way that they took the half-ass scenario that I just wrote up in 2 weeks and really built up on that and really fleshed it out. They showed a good understanding of the backbone of each character, took not just the scenario itself, but even the dialogue, and they improved all of the stuff that was really great." Masahiro Sakurai, the mastermind behind Super Smash Bros., just dropped a bombshell. He's piecing out from his popular YouTube channel, but not before leaving us with a teaser that's got Nintendo fans buzzing. In his final video, he hinted at some mystery new game that's got everyone's speculation engines revving. Is it a new Smash or a totally fresh IP? Who knows? But Sakurai's exit from the YouTuber life has us all like, mate, yo. What's he cooking? Hideo Kojima, renowned for creating games such as Death Stranding and the Metal Gear Solid series, has expressed a desire to develop a game that transcends time, hoping that even alien civilizations centuries into the future will find. In an interview, he emphasized the importance of personal satisfaction in game creation, suggesting that the true legacy of a game lies in its ability to resonate long after the creator is gone, much like enduring works of art. This vision extends his creative ambition beyond human audiences, aiming for a cosmic appreciation of his work. Will you be playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard this week? Did you feel as though that there was something I missed this week? Are you optimistic as to where the games industry is heading? Did you black out one night and wake up naked next to Dragon Age: The Veilguard's creator, Corrine Bush? Leave it down in the comment. I'm Locust. It's been real. I'll catch you in next week's roundup. Bye bye. I need a pee.